get to know one another. So no pressure, but if you'd like to unmute and say hello while we're waiting, you are welcome.
Sure. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, it's Sarah. My background is really not the greatest. I also have my camera on. So I'm Sarah Edwards Ferguson, now recently got married, and I'm the business librarian here for Charleston County Public Library in Charleston, South Carolina, where I think it is still raining, but I don't have any windows. So I don't know.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks for joining. Nice to meet you. We have some of
too.
your neighbors from Columbia, South Carolina here today as well, Diane.
Yay.
Hey, Sarah. Welcome from Columbia. I'm
Thank you
Diane
so
Lucy,
much.
the Business and Careers Manager at Richland Library.
Yay.
Good to hear from you.
Thank you. Y'all do some amazing stuff.
Well, I'm Lori Hench with Baltimore County Public Library. I'm a librarian in the Adult and Community Engagement Department, and we work on, one of the things I do is work on some of the business programming with our manager, Julie Brophy. I don't know if she's here yet, and our small business consultant, Carly Feinberg, who is here.
Thanks, Lori. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We're just giving everyone a minute to log in. So if you'd like to unmute and introduce yourself, you're welcome. We want this to be an informal and engaging conversation to get to know one another. So feel free as we're waiting for people to join.
My name is Mariela Osario, and I am the Career and Small Business Specialist at the Long Branch Public Library. And I am a certified career and business coach. And we've been able to recently start providing services to our patrons in our community with coaching. So nice to meet everyone.
Thanks, Mariela. It's nice for you to join us. Stacey and Adriana and Danielle, I think we'll give one more minute and then we'll get started. So we have a presentation from some of our Libraries Build Business coaches today. We're just giving people another minute to get logged in. So if you'd like to unmute and introduce yourself, we would welcome that. We look forward to getting to know people on this workshop today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sandy Hancock from the Pikes Peak Library District. I'm the business librarian here. Can't get my video to work, so but I'm here. It's nice to see some of the people who I've met in the past and some other people. So thanks.
Thanks, Sandy. Yeah, it's good to hear from you again. Okay, well, we've got a pretty good group here, so I think we can go ahead and get started. I'll keep watching the waiting room and letting people in as we go, but I'm Megan Janicki. I'm the project manager for Libraries Build Business. Today we are doing a Libraries Build Business community discussion. So many of you may have heard about this workshop from our community Slack channel. So that is a place that we're hoping to foster conversation and engagement about small business and entrepreneurship programs with a particular focus on underrepresented and low-income entrepreneurs. We've also been offering peer coaching. So we're going to hear from some of our coaches today about that experience so far and how you might use coaching in your professional practice. So we'll hear from peer coaches Stacey Goddard and Danielle Milton from Spokane County Public Library and Adriana McClear from Appleton Public Library. And we hope this will be an ongoing kind of opportunity. We want to have more conversations. This is the first of its kind, so definitely let us know what you think and give us feedback. But we're definitely hoping to hold future community conversations as we go. So yeah, this is our very first one, and thank you for joining us for that. And I think with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Stacey.
Thank you, Megan, and welcome everyone. We're so happy to see you here today. We're going to do a quick round of introductions and then dive in. As Megan said, my name is Stacey Goddard. I'm with Spokane County Library District. I'm a public services manager and I oversee our career development and business support team. I've been a business services focused librarian for about 11 or 12 years. I have 35 years experience with the district and lots of experience on both sides of both mentoring and coaching. Adriana? Do we lose Adriana?
Hi, thank you for your patience. I'm having some technical issues over here. I am Adriana McClear from the Appleton Public Library located in Northeast Wisconsin. I'm originally from Wisconsin and started my career in libraries in 2006 in Arizona. So I had the opportunity to come back to my home state in 2011. And I work as the Community Partnership Supervisor here at Appleton Public Library, where we engage with teens and adults and do our best to stay in close contact and collaboration with our community. So I've served as a coach in various capacities and certainly benefited from relationships with other coaches. So glad to be here. Thank you all for joining us. And Danielle, you can share your intro.
Sure. Hey, everyone. I am Danielle Milton. I am a librarian here at Spokane County Library District in Eastern Washington. I've been in libraries for about 10 or so years now. I've been a business and career focused librarian for about 6. So as far as coaching goes, it's fairly new to me. I don't currently supervise anybody, so I don't have a ton of experience with coaching or mentoring or anything like that. So I'm kind of the newbie, but it's something that we'll talk about of how it can still be done. You still have experience. So the first thing we want to get started with is just kind of a gauge your, sorry, I'm trying to escape my presentation and it's not escaping. I'm just going to stop the share for a moment. Sorry, guys. And we'll try that again. There we are. Okay, so we want to kind of gauge what you think of when you think of coaching. So if you want to, on a browser, go to menti.com, type in that code 32078601, and give us some 1 or 2 words that come to mind when you think of coaching. We want to try to get a feel of what coaching means to you, what you think of, what just immediately pops in your head.
That's a great question, Paul. Paul in the chat is asking if we're clarifying whether we're talking about coaching patrons or staff. For this presentation, we're focusing on Libraries Built Business peer coaching for business programming. So this would be professional coaching, library staff.
Great. Let's see, partnership, thought partners, support. Yeah, these are support's getting bigger, so that's the most common one that's coming in, so that's great. Feedback and modeling, yeah, some motivation, absolutely. Advice, definitely. Insights, great. Resources, oh, I like that one. Shaping behaviors, yeah. Just another minute or so for you guys to get some more responses. These are all really great responses, and I think they're all things we'll kind of touch on a little bit as we get going. Partnership, referrals, motivation, absolutely. Fantastic. So I think the biggest thing are support, feedback, and encouragement. Absolutely. Those are kind of the big key terms that I would think of as well when it comes to coaching. So now Stacey is going to talk about kind of the difference between coaching and mentoring.
Thank you, Danielle. That was a great activity, and it was interesting to see how support was front and center throughout the whole interaction, no matter how many different words were added. So we appreciate your feedback on that. As we were going into this and receiving our training as coaches, excuse me, on business programming as part of the Libraries Build Business Initiative, I realized in our own cohort, there's a lot of confusion about what's mentoring versus what's coaching. And there's a lot of images out there if you do an image search online for graphics, which I did in advance of this presentation. And this was my favorite because it is sort of a Venn diagram to the fact that while there are certainly some similarities and some definite overlap between what a mentor and a coach does, there are some distinct differences as well. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then the other thing I liked about this is that mentoring is really, it's more advising, and you've got, the wealth of someone's experience and knowledge, and they're kind of imparting it on you perhaps. Whereas a coach is asking and encouraging you to think about things differently and helping you develop and grow. Some of the other kind of key differences are coaching tends to be shorter term. So you've got a distinct timeline that you're following, whereas mentoring can be quite a bit longer term. If you think about your own life and people that have had an impact on you, your career and personally, and those people that you consider mentors, those relationships are long term. As far as the relationship itself, with mentoring, it's definitely relationship focused, and coaching tends to be more task focused. And so coaching is also more structured, and mentoring can be more informal. Something else that, and there's a train, sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear that train whistle, but that's living where we live here. It's also, coaching is more performance, can be performance driven if you've got some specific goals. With mentoring, it's more development, long-term development perhaps. And with coaching, and something that Danielle touched on, coming into kind of coaching new, you don't have to be an expert on a topic or, even know anything about coaching at the beginning. If you're interested, there's specific training you can go through. And we did with this program with ALA, we had a great coach and some training, and Danielle's going to talk about that in a bit. So those are some of the key differences between coaching and mentoring. And then just, talking a little bit about what coaching means. It's really, and these are my opinions, and we're hoping that there'll be a discussion. So if people have comments or questions that they want to add in the chat, please do. But one of the things that that is most important to me with coaching is it's really about actively listening to your partner, your coachee, and seeing what it is they're trying to do, and then asking questions and getting the coachee to think about things rather than just telling them, imparting wisdom, which is more what a mentor would do. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts or comments they'd like to share about that with us. And we can have them unmute, right, Megan?
Yeah, feel free to unmute or to write in the comment box.
One of the things I really appreciated as I was researching some sources for this was the idea that a coach really draws out knowledge that already resides within the coachee.
Stuff to do.
Whereas a mentor is imparting knowledge. So it's really about creating that professional development experience for the coachee, because they've got the tools, they just may not be able to recognize what the next step might be. And so it's a conversation to get the coachee to be thinking about that. If there aren't, oh, and I see Catherine's comment about feeling unqualified. Danielle and I had a conversation about that after our first coaching session, where we felt a little bit like, or before our first coaching session, where it's like, do we really know what we're doing? And it turned out that we did. So Danielle's going to talk more about that later. But in the meantime, I'm going to hand it over to Adriana, who's going to talk about the value of coaching.
Yes, thank you, Stacey. So thanks for detailing what coaching is and distinguishing between coaching and mentorship. And it's the visual shows that overlap where a relationship may start as a coaching relationship and morph into mentoring or vice versa. And I've definitely had that experience. So I'll share my perspective on what the value of coaching is. And as I share these points, I would invite you all to think about a time that you have benefited from a coaching partnership. So it may have been a time that you were a coach, whether formal or informal coach, or you benefited from having a coach to help you along your way. So I see the relationship benefiting both the coach and the coachee, and also that there is responsibility on both sides. So a coach is someone that's encouraging new ways of thinking and helps the coachee explore various possibilities. So sometimes when we're approaching an opportunity or we have a dilemma, it's challenging to think about ways to do things different than we have in the past. And so having that external perspective, the coach can then bring questions and guidance to the relationship and to set that path forward. So the coachee has responsibility in that partnership. So they are the one that has to clearly articulate what the vision is of where they want to go, what some of the objectives are, and they will be responsible ultimately for setting and clarifying the goals. So the coach may help with the questioning and helping to get to this path to success, but the coachee really has to be the one to explain the context, explain the assets and opportunities, to outline what some of the limitations and barriers are. So entering into a coaching relationship as the one that will be coached, be the coachee, there is a lot of work to do on that side too. So they would ultimately identify the best process of moving forward and create their own roadmap to success with the help of the coach. So with both parties having responsibilities, naturally, they will both benefit from the experience. So as a coachee or someone who is getting that guidance and that help along the way, that person is going to feel empowered. You know, having someone listen to them and listen with intention around understanding and moving towards success, where the coach is truly invested in their success, will help them feel supported and help them to hone their skills in communication, goal setting, and getting to that path to creating that vision for their success. So the coachee, developing those clear communication skills. They'll also be required to identify what success looks like. So in a first interaction with a coach, that might not be something that they can do off the bat. That's why they're in this coaching relationship. But along the way, they would have support and guidance to be able to identify what that path to success looks like. And they will also benefit by being able to scale their plans to what is realistic and what is manageable. So through that articulation of what the assets are, through that understanding and clarification of what those barriers are to their success, they will be able to create manageable, realistic, reasonable goals, and then action plans to get to those goals. So at the end of a relationship or a coaching partnership, the coachee will have an established plan that they can use towards that they can follow toward achieving their goals. And then the coach, as I shared, will have responsibilities in supporting, but will also benefit from that relationship. So they'll learn from their coaching partner. I've had this experience through Libraries Build Business, where the person that I am coaching has an incredible plan, if I looked at what we offered at the Appleton Public Library in the beginning, similar to what Stacey and Danielle were feeling of like, am I the best person to help this person? I think feeling that way because, wow, it sounds like they have a really amazing program in the works. What can I offer them? And so in my coaching role, it's not to be better or know anything more about their program or to even have experience doing a program like that, but to ask questions and move them towards achieving their set goals. So in my role as a coach, I'm benefiting by learning through their process, learning what strategies they're using, what path they're taking towards success and how they're articulating success. And I'm observing this happening in real time, right? The articulation of that vision and then development of strategies to get to where they want to go. So understanding their approach, listening to some of their challenges and how they're creating strategies to move towards success certainly benefits me as a coach. So I'm growing right alongside my coachee or coaching partner. The coach will strengthen their abilities to be present, to actively listen, to provide constructive feedback, and to support and foster trust with others. So, in my position at the library, I have, regular opportunities to work with my staff, my team. For other individuals who might not be in a supervisory role and maybe looking for opportunities to develop skills around active listening, around, that guidance for other people, serving as a coach can be great experience that can benefit professional development. So I, in addition to Libraries Build Business, I had another opportunity to serve as a formal coach through an initiative called Wisconsin Libraries Transforming Communities. It's an offshoot of the ALA Libraries Transforming Communities initiative. And libraries across the state were paired up where some libraries were focused on community engagement and working through ways to engage their community and understand opportunities for a particular topic or for particular project. And so libraries were paired up with community members to engage in that work. And they also had a coach that was from another Wisconsin library to ask questions, to work with them to move towards their path to community engagement. So that was more of a formal role where I served as a coach to 2 libraries, and I learned so much from that experience. So as I shared, similar to my Libraries Build Business experience, I was benefiting and growing just by hearing what the other libraries were experiencing, both the challenges and the successes, and seeing the strategies that they were employing in their community engagement work. So it's something that we do here at Appleton Public Library, community engagement, but it is an art. It is something that you refine over time. It's not a formula that you can just apply. So any opportunity to work with another library who is doing community engagement will benefit us. So, I was thinking about that experience where I served as a coach and wanted to give you all an opportunity to share a time when you have been in a coaching partnership and you had a positive experience, either as a coach or as a coachee. And what did that look like? So I'm looking in the chat because I see there were some comments there. Did someone just unmute?
Me, of course, because I'm in Maine and I had to open my big mouth. I just wanted to say that one of the best things, events that have happened with this Libraries Build Business program is that I've got 12 other coaches, and of course Megan and Marika and a few other people there, but the coaching, we're coaching each other, I feel like, a lot. And certainly as a small library, when I talk to other small libraries, like Brandon's library or Rachel, it really makes a difference in how I'm looking at the process. And so that's been very positive for me.
Yes, certainly. And Susan, would you be willing to share just a brief summary of what the LBB cohort was? So there are some folks who may not be linked in with that piece.
Sure. We're 13 libraries that went through a grant process through the American Library Association and Google. And it's called Libraries Build Business. We're creating a playbook about how to have libraries work with local business entrepreneurs, rural and women-owned, people of color, persons of color, businesses, and how to support them in the public library. And I'm in Maine, and it's a small library. And one of our issues is technology, that we don't have the kind of technology for our patrons that, or our patrons don't have them at home. We have the ability to share them with them, but so it's trying to fit myself in with, people from lots of big libraries too. Adriana, has been helpful with some of her conversations about, the things that are happening there. And it works that way for me best.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that example, where even if it's not a formal coachee partnership, right? That peer coaching can be so helpful, particularly when you're experiencing something shared, like a shared goal, and then supporting each other informally. And then I see Diane has their hand up. Diane?
Yes, I just wanted to share that I am a new small business coach for LBB. And I recently met with a librarian who just assumed her role as the director of a one location library system. And I want everyone on the call to know that this woman was filled with wonderful ideas. And as we talked, and I actively listened, tried to remind her that, Rome wasn't built in a day. And, you have to focus and prioritize what you would like to do, and then choose one service that you feel that you can actually accomplish with staffing, funding, resources, and build on that success. So I think a lot of encouragement and support is needed, but I think that every library system is able to offer small business coaching that's scalable to your resources. So just keep that in mind. And, Libraries Build Business cohort is here to help you in any way that we can. Thanks, Adriana.
Yes, thank you. I love that point, bringing things down to a manageable goal and helping with that process. I think several of us have had that experience where someone starts out with lots and lots of ideas, and they're kind of floating in this cloud up above, and we want to keep track of those. And we want to coach on something really specific and see someone be successful through this partnership and through this relationship. Yeah, absolutely. Any other shares of coaching experiences where you've been a coach or benefited from having a coach?
I have something I can share. If we're okay with that, I would love other people to have a chance to talk, so people can feel free to cut me off. But one thing I was just thinking about what you talked about as far as benefits to the coach, Adriana. And for me personally, just that recognition that every coaching partnership is a chance to learn how to work with different learning styles and different personality styles. And I had a situation with a direct report probably 15 years ago now. We were working on a goal of hers that had a clearly defined thing, and she made some choices that were definitely not choices I would have made. But I think that's also an important part of the coaching experience, is to recognize that everyone's going to approach things differently. And, perhaps a mentor would say, no, that's not, but an important part of coaching is not being afraid to try things. And if the first attempt doesn't work like you thought, then debrief on it, troubleshoot it, try something else again. So that's been something that's been very valuable to me as a coach, and as I've continued on through the years. So.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, Stacey. So that's a perfect lead into what Danielle is sharing, which is what else we learned during Libraries Build Business coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is something that a couple of you have already even mentioned in chat, of feeling like maybe you're not capable of coaching. Maybe you don't have anything of value to add. Maybe an imposter syndrome is happening, because it's a real thing. You don't feel like you are adequate, like you don't have the value to add to somebody else. So what can I tell somebody? What can I share? I don't know what I'm doing. How do I share with them, but your experiences are valuable. Like I said, I am relatively new. I know Carly's fairly new to libraries as well, but there is value in your experience, and you can share that. And sometimes you don't even have to be the expert. You don't have to know everything. Often someone just needs somebody to kind of help bounce ideas off with, and kind of get some guidance of where to go. How do I get to these great goals that I have? Stacey and others have mentioned that we've got people who have these grand ideas, but they need to kind of have it reined in a little bit to make them achievable. So that's where a coach can kind of help with some of that and give that guidance, give that, well, how do we reach this goal? What's the timeline? What are the steps we can make to get there? So people can have all of these great ideas, but we've just got to make them attainable. And then the other thing is, it's not that scary. I know I was really, really nervous the very first meeting that I had as a coach with Stacey, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't know. I'm very nervous about it. And then after meeting with her, it was really just a conversation. You're just having a conversation with a fellow human who's interested in something that you're also doing, or something that you may have experience with. It's as simple as that. It's a conversation with somebody, asking them questions, kind of teasing out, what are they wanting to do? Where are they wanting to go? How can you kind of focus them or help them get to those goals? It's very, very valuable. And it's really, really helpful for those who are maybe a small library, or in I'm the only person who does business, or I work in a very small department. Sometimes just having somebody else to kind of share with is really helpful. I know the one person that we coached, she was the only person doing business related programming, and that can be really, really difficult. So just getting to share with someone else who also is focused on business, absolutely valuable, because not everybody has a team. Here in Spokane, we've got a team for our business librarians. We've got 3 or 4 people, and we can collaborate, but not everybody has that experience. So just connecting with somebody else to be able to just have a conversation. That's all it really is. Some other things, there are some challenges that you may have, and that's okay too. You don't have to know everything. You can try to navigate through them. One of the big challenges we've had right now is, obviously we're in a pandemic and people are super busy. So it's hard to schedule time to meet with somebody. Things come up, things happen. So you just have to try to be as flexible as you can and work with someone to be able to meet with them on their time. Sometimes coaching really is meeting them just in time for their needs. And if you can't meet them at that time, that's okay. We'll get back to it when we can get back to it. But we're just trying to work with them so that way they can accomplish their goals, because it's really about them. And I know the coach gets some value out of it as well, but we want to try to encourage the person who's trying to develop these fantastic programs. And then the other thing that we've really experienced as a cohort of coaches is practice. We've done, as uncomfortable as it is, I think, for most of us, is role playing, going through the process of practicing, being a coach, being the person, the coachee. Nobody likes to role play, I don't think. I'll just say that across the board. It's very uncomfortable, but it's really, really helpful. And it is something that you can kind of just get a feel for how do I have this conversation with somebody? What do I ask? What do I say? What do we do? So practicing with your fellow librarians, with your fellow community members, or whoever it is that you have a relationship with, that can be helpful. And one thing that we have developed as our coaches, and we've worked with an organization called Development Without Limits, and they've helped us develop some guides that we're happy to share with you if you would like to be able to start doing some coaching with your fellow community members or with your connections. We'll happily share those with you. So I'm going to go through and kind of show some of that to you so you can kind of see what some of the framework is that we're using. Because it can be helpful when you're like, I don't know what to say, I don't know how to help this person. So having some sample questions and guides can be really, really helpful. Give me just a moment and I'll get those up. Okay. So this is the first one that we've got. This is our coaching engagement guide. And initially it looked pretty different. We've definitely kind of worked on it over the past few months to get it to give the coaches the value that we think we need in order to be a good coach. And we're, again, happy to share this with everyone. So the main tenets of coaching is you want to get a feel for what the person, what they're doing, where they are. So we've got kind of their name and title, their library, what business programs they have already, or what activities, what are they already working on? And then kind of getting at just background information about the person, asking some of these additional questions. And yes, some of it can feel a little bit interviewee, but it can give you some of that information of where do we go from here? What does this person need? What is the value for them? And then we've got really just helping to set goals. So just kind of targeted questions of, what do you want to achieve? What are you working towards? How can we get you to those end goals? And SMART goals, if you haven't used them, they're really valuable. And I didn't write down the acronym, so hopefully I can remember it. They are, I don't think I can do it. I should have written this down. But anyways, they are measurable and achievable goals. And they are goals that have realistic and a timeline. Got all those letters, I just don't remember the S, but they are goals that you can achieve, that you're able to get to. So working on getting some of those nailed down can be helpful. And then these additional questions that we can ask, and obviously you don't have to go through every single question, but asking them, how do you know that you're making that progress? What are some challenges? Think of those ahead of time. I know partnership challenges are something that we experienced with some of our programming in Spokane. And thinking about, oh, well, maybe having an agreement with your partner organization of what your roles and responsibilities are, or MOU could be helpful. So trying to navigate some of those problems before they occur could be helpful. And then also asking, what do you want out of this coaching relationship? What is going to be beneficial for you? And then having that discussion of, how do you want to be communicated with? Do you like phone calls? Are emails great? Zoom, something else? How can we best accommodate your needs? And then what questions do you have about coaching? So these are just kind of guidelines to help us as coaches try to tailor the meeting with someone. So we also ask questions about what they're working on, what their community needs are. Do they know what's already out there in the community? Do they know who their partnerships already are, or who's already doing certain or providing certain services, things like that. So this guide has been helpful, especially for some of us who maybe are new to coaching, or just need a little bit of that guidance of, what do I do? Where do I go? What do I say? How do I help someone? So we're, again, happy to share this document. We have this other one that we've developed. And this one is more for the coachee. So kind of some self-reflection for them. And it's not something that I think is used every single time, but it's something that the person who is getting the coaching, the coachee, can take some time to really think about how their interaction is going, what they're getting out of the situation, what they're getting out of the partnership, and what maybe their needs are. And maybe if it's not working or if they need to make some changes, this is just a way for them to kind of get some of those thoughts organized. And then this one, we made it just in case we had any problems or issues, again, kind of that planning ahead, just in case somebody comes into a coaching partnership and is expecting the world, expecting you to do a bunch of extra work or do their part of their job for them kind of thing. It's just an agreement that says the coaches are going to do this. They're going to help you review. They're going to connect you to resources or offer advice and suggestions. But the coaches aren't going to create your materials. They aren't going to make the connections for you. We're not going to do it for you, but we're going to help guide you in the right direction so you are able to be successful in whatever it is that your goals are. So those are kind of the main documents that we've been able to develop and I've found them useful, and they can be really nice to just kind of give you that guide of how to be a coach and what can I say in a coaching experience. So with that, I'd love to open it up and ask if anybody's got questions for us, questions for some of the other coaches, because I know there are more coaches here today. Or if you've got anything that you want to express about coaching, what's keeping you from either being a coach or from seeking a coaching partnership? And how else can we help you here with the Libraries Build Business? I'd love to just have that conversation. So let us know.
I think the coaching project, from what I'm learning, everything that was shared from here is really beneficial. I think I really like that idea of the support system. You know, there's a lot of things that I think that are inferred, like compassion and empathy, you know, when you're helping these folks. And I think those go a long way, and it's kind of engineered into the process that's approachable. It looks really cool. I'm interested.
I think to piggyback on Morg's comment, one thing I think it's important for everyone to realize that when you are developing your small business services, you are not alone. And what you need to do is look at your local community and the expertise that's available in your community. I say this because I had a coaching session last week with a gal, and she was talking about being the only person to offer small business services. And I said, but you know, that's not really 100% so, because who have you currently worked with? And she mentioned SCORE, and she mentioned one other agency. And I said, what about other small business agencies or organizations? So we made a short list. So one of her goals for in between that appointment and our next one in November is that she's going to reach out and have a virtual meeting just to introduce herself, the goals that she's trying to accomplish, and see what the interest level is with these small business experts. And then the possibilities for collaboration are many. And so again, look to your community, because there is business expertise in every community. And you know, no funds are needed because these folks are doing this work as a community service. So look to your community.
Absolutely, that's so perfect. I know librarians have a reputation of knowing everything and knowing how to do everything, but no, we just know how to get to where you need to go. We know how to find the resources. So you also don't have to know everything. You don't have to do everything for your business community and do all of the programming. You've got valuable partners out there who can absolutely do some of that for you. I know we've worked with SCORE, we've worked with our local Women's Business Center and other local partnerships, and they are great people to reach out to, and they can absolutely support your programming. You don't have to do it all, and you are not alone. Absolutely. That's great, Diane. Does anyone have any questions for us as coaches, or anything that's still a mystery for you, or anything that's going on there? Yes, Rachel, we're not business experts. We're experts in finding the experts. Yeah. Be great if we knew everything, but I'll keep that reputation. I'll take it. That's great.
I see Catherine's question about any advice about setting up or advertising a coaching program in your library. That's a good question. We'll all talk at once, right? Yeah, I guess my first question would be, what we would do some of the things and use some of the tools that Danielle demonstrated. What would the goal be for that program? What would your audience be? What are you hoping to do? Are you looking at it for, staff facing only, or is this something you would be hoping to offer to your patrons? So you're probably not going to get a straight answer out of us right this moment. I don't know. What do you think, Danielle, Adriana?
Yeah, it kind of really depends on what you're wanting and where you're going with your coaching. If it's helping to coach customers or business owners, I know with us at our library, we offer a book librarian service, so people can set up appointments with our librarians and we can walk through some of these. I've not ever used these new goal sheets because they're new to us, or the guidelines or anything, but it's something I will absolutely want to use in the future when we have business owners who want to have a little bit more guidance. I think that's something that can totally be done with your library customers or patrons. If it's with somebody, a fellow librarian or a fellow coworkers, that again is also going to depend on your structure and your setup. So I don't have great advice. It depends. As far as how long did we meet with coachees, it really depended. Depended on the person. I know for Stacey and I, we had a couple times where scheduling was really, really difficult and things were happening with the coachee and they didn't make it to a couple sessions, and we're trying to be flexible and meet with them. But the schedule that worked out well is kind of a once a month to give them time to talk it through, figure out what goals they want, and then give time to maybe implement some of those goals. So it's still kind of in the works, in the process. We haven't had a ton of time with this coaching yet. But again, it depends on the person, it depends on their goals and their situation.
There's another question. Does anyone have experience coaching someone who is resistant to the process? So the first thing that comes to mind is like, you will gain what you put into the partnership. So, I shared how there's work and responsibility that the coachee has to move forward in the path to success, to articulate what they're going for. I'm thinking about Wisconsin Libraries Transforming Communities, where I have more of a longer term coaching experience that I can now reflect on looking back, where right now we're kind of in the middle of some of our partnerships, coaching partnerships with Libraries Build Business. And the process was around community engagement, which, as I mentioned, is not formulaic. It is very organic and, something that kind of starts out small and starts to build as relationships grow. And you meet one person who might refer you to 3 other people, and there's this, beautiful blossoming, like this growth that happens. And for someone who is a big time planner, that can be really challenging. So, that's an example of a time where the process felt like it wasn't moving fast enough, or the process felt like not how someone would normally want to work. So we were able to talk through that. So, the frustration that they were feeling, we were able to acknowledge it and recognize that is okay to feel that way, and look at, how they normally work and what community engagement can be like. So, my experience is like not brushing those feelings aside, but having the space and the vulnerability on both sides to be able to talk through where that resistance might be coming from, why it's there, if it's even to being a part of a coaching partnership. I mean, this is optional, for anyone, and the coach is there to support, not to control the direction. So it should be something that people opt in and decide that they want to give their time to and contribute to. Any other experiences with that folks want to share?
At our library, we don't have like a coaching setup like this one, but we have a similar service that we offer. And my experience comes from working with youth 13 to 19. We have a mentorship program. So, my ears perked up when we were talking about resistance, like environment plays the role. Like, I don't want the kids to feel like they're prisoners, you know what I mean? And so there's this thing of like, I guess, a mutual goal. And I think once you hone in on that, hey, I just want to help you get your business off the ground or offer resources and things like that. And I want to share one personal experience, and I think when it comes to empathizing with kids is there's like this fear of a failure or looking dumb. Like the reason why they don't want to try this new thing you're showing them is because there's a little bit of fear there. And I think if you provide this safe space to try and alleviate that fear of failure, I think people are willing to take more risks that way. And like Diane said earlier, let them know that they're not alone, and you can go a long way with people that way.
I think it's probably helpful to figure out what's going to be the buy-in for them, what's going to be the thing that gets them engaged and want to participate. So again, making it about their goals, what it is that's going to get them engaged. Sometimes you got to try to navigate that, but thank you. Thanks for sharing. Well, we've got a few more minutes, but we want to thank you guys all for being here today. It was really wonderful. And again, we will share the documents and the guides that we've created. We also have a Slack channel. So if you want to get involved and ask us questions, feel free to join us on Slack. We'd love to see you there and get to know what's going on in your library world. I think Megan's got an exit ticket, so you can provide feedback for today's session. We'll still be here for a little while longer if you want to stick around and have questions, but I think that's kind of the bulk of our program today. So again, thanks so much, you guys.
Yes, thank you. And Megan, do folks talk to you if they need an invite to the Slack channel?
Yeah, great question. I can drop that in the chat as well. I just dropped the exit ticket into the chat. It just takes 1 minute. Please take a minute to fill that out. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we hope to do a few more community conversations down the road. This is our very first one. So we'd love to hear what you thought, and if there's other topics that you would want to talk about kind of in this kind of setting about small business entrepreneurship programs in particular, or about some other sort of public library practice related. I just put the link to join Slack if you're not there with us in the chat as well. And like Danielle says, we're happy to hang out and continue talking. We still have a few more minutes. So we'd love to hear from more of you. And thank you so much to Stacey, Adriana, and Danielle. This was really, really great. And it was so nice to hear from everyone.